Awesome.
Awesome. Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to bring you into I'll bring you into this. So it's GU or JU?
GU.
GU.
Like
Awesome.
see you again when you say see you again, like it's GU again.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. So I was really surprised that you were willing to do this interview with me.
Well, hang on one second. Hang on one
okay,
second.
okay. Mm-hmm.
Hey, so we are, so we're going to get started and really just enjoying. I think things are rocking and rolling, feeling really good about it. Got all of the camera angles working where I want them to work, and I think we got it. And I'm going to bring in this very special guest, and this is, hang on, this is Jiu from South Korea. So welcome.
Yeah. Hello, guys.
So listen, so are you in Seoul?
Well, I am not in Seoul now, but I used to live in Seoul for a long time.
Where are you now?
I'm in the city called Jeonju, which is like 2 hours away from Seoul.
And what brought you? So what do you do? I mean,
I'm actually was a graduate student, but I just suspended school a bit, and I started my own business, like teaching English, and I do YouTuber as my side job.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, very cool. And where do you teach English?
Oh, I teach English at my own hagwon, which means English institution. It's just small, but yeah, it's rewarding. And actually, the reason why I moved to Jeonju is like this is my hometown, and my parents live here, so I want to spend some family time. So that's why.
Well, I mean, you speak English perfectly, so.
Oh my God, thank you.
Yeah. Much better than my Korean. My Korean is maybe limited to, you know, like a few words like soju and, you know, mukbang, you know, there are a few things.
Yeah, I saw some of your lectures already, so I know you know soju and mukbang those.
Yeah.
But do you know like any Korean words, or can you speak?
No, but you know what? We teach Korean. We have a somebody here at Penn State who teaches Korean, and I've been thinking that, you know, it would be a really good idea to learn a little bit. Certainly for when I come to Korea, that would be really nice. So.
Yeah, because actually, like a lot of Korean people like you know. Yeah, for your message and for your lecture. So we were kind of exposed a lot about your lecture. So we know you as like American professor who teaches about K-pop and K-culture and speaks good about Korea like every time. So we really like you. So
yeah, well, it works. All I have to do, I just say nice things about other places, and then, you know.
Yeah.
Well,
Very wise choice.
I mean, there's probably many things that I could say about Korea that are less kind, but I find Korea to be really fascinating. And as my work internationally, and my whole life I've been working internationally, so I'm very familiar with countries around the world, and I've lived abroad for a long time, so I find Korea really interesting. Hey, so let me ask you another question. Where did you learn English?
In Korea, actually.
I mean, where like an institute or?
Institute, school, and like homeschooling, like stuff like that. Because my mom was a high school English teacher before. So she knew that English is so important, especially in my generation. So she put a lot of like effort and time and money into my English education. So yeah.
So does that mean you also study in like the United States and the UK and Australia and English speaking countries? Or are you just learning about the cultures of those countries?
Well, in school or institution, you can only just learn about culture, like very small pieces of like everything. But I personally was so interested in American culture, so I studied myself. And my major was international studies in my undergraduate. So I studied a little bit more than other people, I guess.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's cool. No, it's really exciting. Hey, so listen, just so you know, there's sometimes that I will just turn on a different camera, which is, you know, this angle. So I'll turn it from what you see. You'll see me looking in a different direction. And then sometimes I'll have a different camera angle that you can't see, but it's up on the live stream.
Okay.
And then I'll come back and then, you know, come back to you, this other camera. So I'm just moving around in lots of different places. And I'm just, you know, so we've been live streaming my class, which is the video that you've seen, and for several years. And, but with the pandemic, we're not in the classroom. And so I just stand in front of a green screen. And then I built this studio in my basement. Here, I'll show you a little bit.
Okay.
Hang on, wait. Hang on. I'll kind of give you a sense of what it looks like. It's like really.
Is it your basement now?
Yeah,
Wow.
I have a small room in the basement.
Oh wow, it's like a studio.
Yeah, yeah, with different cameras and things. So when I'm as I'm talking in different ways, I'm, you know, there are times when I may not look at you just because I'm looking at a different camera.
Okay.
But you know, it's all good. It's all good.
Wow.
You're here.
I mean, your studio is way better than my office. So.
Well, yeah, but
I envy you.
Listen, I'm way older than you are, so you know, I have a lot of time. Yeah, yeah, so cool. Hey, so listen, tell me about. I have a couple questions right now, just about the pandemic and how things are going right now in Korea.
Okay, so this pandemic situation is really tough, and for Koreans, like we are doing our best, and we get a lot of compliments like, "Oh, we are doing really good overall," because we have so like little cases like compared to other countries, and you know we have very little death toll as well. But you know, like nowadays, like people's patience is kind of, you know, like reached out to limit. So we were like still wearing masks and we were still being cautious, but you know, people were just hanging out and, you know, like some meetings are still like gathered. So actually like from a few days ago, it got kind of worse. So we got like 500 something new cases every day nowadays. So we are at stage 2 and we have this 3 stages like according to COVID situation and treatment system. And stage 2 is kind of severe and stage 3 is very, very like serious. So we are at stage 2 now.
Yeah, so 500 cases. Okay, so listen, let's do the math on that. So 500, so Korea, you have 55 million people in Korea.
Yeah, right.
Like in the United States, we have 330 million. So we are 6 times the size of Korea in the United States. Right. So if you multiply the number of cases, if you were the United States, if we were Korea in the United States, that would mean we would have in a day right now about 3,000 cases of COVID.
Right.
And we have almost 200,000 cases, right?
Yeah,
so
I heard the news.
Yeah. So if you think about Korea is in crisis because you have 500 cases. So imagine us, right? So this would be, okay, so we have 170,000, 3,000. This would be like Korea having 35,000 cases, like 30,000 cases.
Right.
Imagine having 30,000 and you only have 500. So this is, wow, this just shows you how in the United States, we really live in a bubble And in Korea, you live in a bubble. You know, you live in a different kind of bubble. So when you think about the United States, what do you think? Like, what's your...
Well, actually, I have this very complicated feeling about United States because I love that country. You know, I studied there and I like obviously love your language. So I studied a lot. So I knew a little bit about the States. And I think like your like atmosphere, like your like how can I say, like your creativity is accepted like in the States, like that kind of vibe. I really like it. And people are very open-minded and you guys are really like mixed culture. So like very open to other cultures. Like I really like that. And you know, like a few elites lead that society. And I really like that part as well. Because like, seems like many geniuses are from the States, you know? So well, I really like that.
A few. Yeah.
Oh my God. And, but you know, I personally think that the political system in the States, like especially nowadays, is a complete chaos, you know? So I feel really sorry about you guys. Like, I mean, political situation all over the world, like it's kind of chaos like nowadays, but still, you know, like, there's no time for your politicians to fight, you know, because your people are dying. So I just hope like, oh, like, can you just figure it out? Because I feel really sorry because I like your country. So yeah, so it's kind of complicated.
Wow, that's so cool. That's such a... Okay, so let's take an approach to this. So here's something I talk about in my class regarding Korea or East Asia, right? So Korea is a much more communitarian society than the United States, and meaning that when the natural self relationship of self to other is to more easily or quickly put the community at least alongside of oneself or ahead of oneself. And the United States is much more individualist oriented. You know, so it's not one or the other, it's an orientation. So Korea is much more communitarian oriented or community oriented, and the United States is more individual oriented. And so the fact that you have this kind of natural sense or this feeling that, hey, you wish the United States we would get things together because our people are dying. That's not how we think about when Americans think about Korea. That's not how we would think about it necessarily, you know.
Oh, really? Okay.
I mean, it is. I mean, Americans are very gracious and very thoughtful and very, you know, concerned about other places in the world. But there's a unique orientation that I think is a little different. You know, like for example, when you wear a mask, everyone wears masks in public in Korea, right?
Right.
Like there's no argument about whether you should have to wear a mask or, am I right?
Yes, right.
Like nobody refuses to wear a mask and says like, it's my right to not wear one. And here we have our leaders tell their people, listen, you don't have to wear a mask. I think you should, but not all leaders. You know, some politicians are passing ordinances or laws requiring people to wear masks, and other ones are saying, no, it's up to you. I think you should, but you don't have to. And I think, wow, like what's the primary reason that you wear masks? What in Korea? What is that?
Well, there are a few reasons why we wear masks all the time. Like first, like you mentioned, like we are very communitarian society. So if you don't wear a mask, you know, like it shows that you don't respect the society. So you get blamed and like maybe you're going to be treated as a somewhat weird person or like even crazy person, you know. So you have to wear a mask for yourself and for others. And second reason is like Korea has had like a kind of serious like polluted air problem for a long time, like mainly because of like from China, you know. So we were kind of used to wear like this kind of masks like all the time, especially during like springtime, you know, when it was like worse. So it's not a weird thing to wear a mask, you know, if it's needed. And third, like government and, you know, government officials are really, really working hard. So we feel really sorry about them, you know, because like they work like overtime, you know, and they can't go to home, you know. So we kind of hope that we can help them, you know, if it's a very simple way, like, you know, wearing a mask, then why not, you know, it can help people. So, so there are a few reasons.
So, yeah, so it's very simple, right? So 3 things, right? It's community oriented. You wear a mask out of respect for other people because you care for other people. And it's respect for the whole community. Right. And it's wait, what was the second one?
Second one was like air pollution problem.
Oh, air pollution, right. It's so that's just because you do, and you're used to it because of air pollution coming from China mostly. And then the third one is it's just really simple. Right? Right. You know, it's funny that I think here in the United States, I think in every culture, it's difficult to do things that lead us to feel awkward. Do you know this word awkward?
I know.
Because many like so I speak Spanish, and in Spanish there isn't really a word for awkward, and we were trying to teach it. My wife and I were trying to teach it to our friends one time, not recently in Colombia, and it's a really strange. It's an interesting word, but it's hard in every culture. It's difficult for people to have to do things that are awkward that they've never done before. And so wearing a mask is one of those, you know, because it's not a, you know, we're many, especially if you're from a culture that's very physical, and like every time you greet someone, you know, you kiss them on each cheek, and, you know, you shake hands and you hug and different things. And when you can't do that and you just have to wave from a distance and you're behind a mask, it really feels just wrong. It feels like disrespectful, and so I think as the United States, as we move forward, it gets easier to wear a mask, and it will be. So next time we have a pandemic, I think Americans will more quickly start wearing masks. Or many people, you know, when they get sick, now if I feel sick or if there's a flu going around, I will be much more comfortable wearing a mask because I don't want to get somebody else sick, and I don't want to get sick.
So this wearing mask thing, like, it's kind of still weird to you guys, right?
It's getting easier.
Getting easier.
Yeah.
Because like at the first stage of pandemic, maybe it was like around March or April, like everyone was wearing masks here, and in the United States, like they were not wearing masks. And I was really curious, why not? So I once asked one of my American friends, like, why don't you guys wear a mask? And he said that it's kind of weird. It's kind of awkward. He said that as well. And he told me like this whole mask wearing thing is kind of considered like Asian thing. So like, I don't know, like he said like Westerners kind of reluctant to like accept this whole Asian thing like so suddenly. So I just thought like that was nonsense though, but you know, in a sense I get that, you know, because it looks weird. So
yeah, I think it may be that it's more, not so much that it's an Asian thing and we don't want to be Asian, but it's something that's outside of our culture entirely. It's just a different, it's like, you know, women wearing hijabs, you know, and you know the hijab that Muslim women wear, and you know, I think if American women, if more Western women wore hijabs and like felt the comfort, because when American, say, I'll just speak about American women, when they do wear hijabs and they feel just a kind of a sense of comfort, right? A sense that, you know, you're just protected and men can't look at you and make comments at you and that sort of thing. It just feels more, yeah, this is what women say, right? And in my class, I do this exercise where I have Muslim women put hijabs on American women, right? So they try them on and they can feel what it feels like. And so I think in the end, it just takes a while to get comfortable with it, but it takes a while, you know, and then eventually it just becomes a normal thing. So even for me, you know, it's normal. I just go out of the house and I put a mask on, and so I think this will carry on further in the United States. Yeah.
So one more thing I want to add on to this mask topic is like I once read about one article like on Facebook or something. Maybe it was from influencer or like scholar, and he said that it would be much easier for Americans to wear a mask if that was not a political issue. Like, you know, so it's really obvious that, you know, mask like protects you and other people. And American people are so individualistic though, but they really care about community as well. So they really hate like to harm this community. So if that approach was applied to American society, like, okay, like wearing masks, like, you know, doesn't have to do with any political issues, you know, or doesn't have to do with your looks, you know, it's for protection of your community, like your society, your family, like that approach would be more helpful to, you know, your people. So I really agreed on that.
I think that's true also in a way. And I think, now I'm going to turn to a different camera. I think that there's, also, you know, early on, we had a very divided, which it's a political issue. We had divided political loyalties, and we had leadership that was not clear about the importance of wearing a mask. And in fact, there was lots of different information coming into the United States. I think it was really clear in Asia that you wear a mask. There was no question about it. But here, you know, leaderships that first off, that just denied the pandemic, and we're very much in denial of lots of aspects of this, and that itself was a problem. And so wearing a mask became a focus of contention. You're either on this side or you're on the other side of a political debate. But the problem is, you know, you're also taking people's lives. People's lives are at risk, right? And so you really run into a lot of problems with that. So, yeah, I think that's also very much part of it. And now, you know, if we had different leadership, for sure, and their leadership President Trump had from the very beginning said, listen, everyone, you need to wear a mask. It's really, really important that you do that. I have no doubt, first off, that he would have been reelected. And that more people's lives would have been saved. And so, right. But also understand that Americans, we're not very thoughtful about science. We're not really educated. Koreans are much more educated than we are.
I know. Oh my God. Like some crazy people are there, like everywhere. So.
You know, well, we have many more, I think. Partly because we have a large society, but also we have a lot of crazy people. Yeah, that's unfortunate. But yeah, it's yeah. What do Koreans think in general, though, what do they think about Trump in general? Like, what do people say? Do they think he's crazy?
In general?
Yeah. Do they like his hair?
We definitely hate his hair.
Okay. Okay, well, we do too.
Yeah, like for Trump, like it is also complex too, you know. He is somewhat very like bragging and very talented, like how can I say, reality TV show star at the same time.
He would have been a good YouTuber with lots of followers.
Yeah, much more than mine.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So he is obviously like very unique figure, and we think like that too. But you know, he was kind of helpful for us when, especially like North Korea and South Korea's relationship was good. Like 2 years ago, he like mediated like very different issues. So it was very helpful at that time. So we cannot blame him for everything. But, you know, like all he did for domestic politics, you know, like we feel really sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. He sort of, there's a way in which he kind of acted. We say, there's a saying in English, like a bowl inside of a china cabinet. Like, so a bowl, like a, you know, BULL inside of like a glass room. He was just, when he did the work, you know, when he went to North Korea and so on. But, you know, there's a way in which he thinks so much of himself that he put himself in certain situations to try to make big things happen. And he did some things that had some value that other people would have thought, okay, I can't do this, or I will follow protocol. And he doesn't follow anyone's protocol. He doesn't follow anything. I don't know what he follows.
Yeah. He's like a real free man, I guess.
Yeah, well, you know, his hair is free, that's for sure. So. Hey, so tell me, I have a question about what's the next. So I want to ask you a couple questions about BTS. Is there a new band that is coming up, a male band? So I know like the biggest girl band is Blackpink right now, right? Are they still are they the biggest right now?
Yes, they're biggest right now.
Yeah, kids that nobody else has come, because there are so many different bands. In BTS, what band might be the next BTS that's just bigger than BTS? Is there one right now that it's growing in popularity?
Well, there are a few groups, like especially, you know, in K-pop boy groups. Yeah. Actually, BTS and EXO. Have you ever heard about?
Yeah, I know
EXO?
EXO.
Yeah,
yep.
EXO was kind of like competing at the early stage, but BTS like skyrocketed. So, I guess they're kind of competing for being the next BTS. You know, so they are really like, I guess like many K-pop groups got a confidence, like, okay, if we do good and if we like connect with fans all over the world, then maybe we can reach out to the global market. Like, I guess BTS gave like a lot of K-pop idols like a hope and confidence as well. But right now there's no obvious group like, okay, like you're going to be the next BTS, because BTS is kind of one and only boy group like who stands out. So yeah, they're competing for the next global market, I guess.
You know, I remember when BTS and EXO were kind of similar, right? So
you remember? Wow,
yeah, this is when I really first started paying attention to K-pop. So, you know, like 4 years ago, right? But then BTS just took off, and EXO is still big, obviously, right? But not like. So I wonder. So it won't be EXO that will become the next. So I'm going to think like a sociologist, right? It won't be EXO, because it'll have to be another group that comes later that just is starting right now that will really take off and then surpass BTS. Hey, are they, I mean, they still have to, some of them have to do military service, right? All of them do, right?
All of them, yeah.
Yeah. So that means the group goes away.
Not goes away, but they have to like at least do their like singing performances like with only 5 members or 4 members at a time.
Okay.
And actually there was this issue, like military issue, like how about BTS not going to military because they did like really like global like achieving thing, like achieving like gold medal in Olympics. Because when athlete gets gold medal in Olympics, they don't go to military here.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, okay. Really? So like some people were kind of arguing like, oh, they did more, or they did as same as the Olympians like did, like when they got like gold medals, because they let the world people know about Korea, you know, and they did like something big for K-pop industry. So what about like them not going to military service, you know? You know, there was like other arguments like, no, they're still like citizens, so they still need to go to military service. So it's
but athletes are citizens, right? So you got to think that BTS at least have done something as big as somebody who wins the gold medal in table tennis or badminton. You know what I mean? Like that has to be just as valuable.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe Greco-Roman wrestling or something. I don't know, but
Oh my God! Right.
Yeah, I think it's, So the idea is that but the service is 2 years or 18 months.
I think 20 or 18 months. Yeah. Like less than 2 years.
Yeah, because I had a couple of friends I had one friend in graduate school who had to go back to Korea for his service, and then he came back to graduate school, and so the idea is that they could join the service. One could join at a time, and then they would come back to the band, and somebody else would join. But you have to do it before a certain age, right?
Normally, like you need to do it before you get to 30.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But there are like special cases if you're like very sick, or you know, if you have some personal issues like family stuff, you know, then maybe you can postpone it.
And women do not join the military. Correct?
No, yes, correct.
Okay, so come on, that's not. Do women want to join the military? Do people ask if they can join?
Like some women want to join, you know, because they want to serve for like public, you know, and they want to do something for our country. But normally, like women feel very blessed, like we don't about the fact that we don't need to go to the military service.
Yeah. Okay, so all right, so hang on. So that's BTS. I watched, by the way, the video that they did recently on the I was speaking with MK and Chris, her assistant, my friend, and they played the video for me. You know, it's really interesting of them, you know, welcoming people to Korea, like trying to really promote Korea. It's big. Yeah, it's cool. It's a really neat video.
Yeah, that is. And one more thing, like a big hit label, like, so that has BTS. So Big Hit became the fourth biggest company, like entertainment company in Korea, only because they have BTS. So they made this new boy group. So I think like they already know this how-tos to, you know, appeal to global markets. So I think you need to focus on them too.
Yeah. Man, it's so interesting. Yeah. It's so, you know, honestly, it's so fascinating. Hang on, I'm going to switch my camera. It's so interesting that, again, Korea, I just had a conversation about this with one of your television stations, right? I made a video for them, and I was talking about, and then I did another one for Arirang TV. Do you know Arirang?
Yeah, I know.
Okay. So, and I was talking about how fascinating it is that a country of 55 million people, looking at where Korea was in 1950 and 1960, and then today, nobody would ever have predicted that Korea would be where it is. And I think that there's a way in which I don't think that there's ever been an example in world history of a country that has made the economic and cultural advancements and had the impact on the world that Korea has had. And
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, I really don't think there is. Certainly not in the modern world. And by modern world, I just mean the industrial world, not the post and even the industrial world, let alone the post-industrial world. So, yeah, it's so interesting. Listen, so what questions do you have for me, or do you have any questions?
Oh, yeah, I have questions.
Right.
So hold on.
I don't know if there's a few people watching, and I don't know if anybody has any questions either. If you do, you can put them in the chat. I think the chat is on, and it seems to be on. So.
Ah, really? Okay. Oh.
And while we're waiting for GU, I just want to say that we're just having this conversation in a 14-hour time difference. GU is a Korean YouTuber and teaches English, and just reached out to me and said, "Hey, could we talk at some point?" And I said, "Absolutely, let's talk." So I'm always looking to have what I think are fascinating conversations with people.
I mean, I really appreciate, because, I saw you were on MKTV, and that has like 1 million subscribers, which is a huge channel. And, she is a very like stunning lecturer. So I am just a, starter, beginner, and I was really thinking like, oh, maybe he is not like willing to join my interview or conversation. And I was like so happy that when I got your email, so.
Oh, gosh. Oh, that makes me feel nice. I feel humbled. The fact that anybody would ever ask me to have a conversation is nice. So
oh
yeah,
my
it feels
God.
good.
Yeah.
No, it's good. And MK is really, she's really awesome. When she came to my class, a lot of, you've seen the video of my class, right? It's a lot of people, and the cameras are in the room, and people are watching from around the world, and people come in and they don't know how to really do it. They don't know how to really hold the audience. I don't know how to hold the audience, right? Because I'm just a guy that's hanging on. But man, MK just took the room. She just, that room was right with her. Everybody was. She was really amazing. I've had many people speak in that classroom in the past, 20 years. And I've never seen anybody do what MK did. She was really special.
Yeah, she is brilliant, and she like is very inspiring, like as a role model for like as a woman, So I'm also a female, like who's in 30s, and like she's very inspiring.
Well, awesome. I'll tell her you said that. And when I come to Korea, I'll make sure that you have a chance to meet her. Right.
Oh my God, thank you.
That would be nice. Yeah, I promise you that you will meet MK.
Oh my God, okay. Thank you very much. Yeah. Oh my God, okay.
No, that would be really nice.
Yeah, so I got a few questions. Okay. So like I already introduced your lecture like about Asian Cool into my channel before, but it was like 2 years ago, and many Korean YouTubers like introduced your lecture, like mainly focusing on, oh, Asia is cool, like K-pop is cool, and BTS is awesome, like mainly focusing on that. But I saw your whole lecture and then I summarized it. So I don't know, like I try to be fair, but you know, maybe that's one of the reasons why my channel isn't growing like super fast, I guess. It's growing slowly, but you know, it's not
Well,
very.
there's a lot of competition. So no, that's
Yes.
fine. No, give it time. That's cool.
Yeah. So, but it was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And BTS was still a big thing then, but not like this big.
Yeah.
But I was really intrigued, like how you could find like this situation, like this whole K stuff, like 2 or 3 years ago. So I'm really curious how you got into this K culture and K-pop like thing happens.
So maybe about so I'm gonna switch my camera here again, and then I'm gonna turn toward a different camera and I'll tell a story. So probably about 8 years ago, I came upon a short video about Korea, just about the way the government, just how it's about Hallyu. Is that how you say that? Hallyu, Korean wave.
Hallyu.
Hallyu. Hallyu. And so I was just really fascinated. I had never seen, and I had known about this, right? But so for those of you who aren't familiar, Hallyu means the wave. It's the wave, but it literally means the Korean wave. And is that right? That's what.
Right.
Yeah. So the idea is that. Wait, hang on. I'm going to do something for you. There we go. So this idea that there's economic power and political power, the ways in which countries in the world can organize themselves to influence other countries politically and economically. But countries in the world can also influence other countries in more soft ways, using instead of a kind of a stick, a carrot, and especially by way of culture. And, we see this, how Western culture has sort of moved itself around the world and imposed itself in other countries in lots of different ways. But there's a way in which it really imposes itself. Whereas Korea didn't impose itself. You don't have the power, you don't have the stature, you don't have the ability to impose Korean culture in other countries. But what you did was you created such fascinating pieces of culture, and then in many ways invited other people to see that culture and then embrace it, like just see how cool it is, right? Like create this like coolness out there that's like, listen, don't you want to be like this, right? And so when you think about all the K-pop as an example of that, I mean, there are many. I think it started with Korean cinema that, 30 years ago or so, but music and K-pop, it's just so well done. And the Korean government participated also in investing money into, helping groups to really form and build talent and find talent and so on. And it made it easier for people to get funds for that. And so I was fascinated by that, like how that happened, because I do a lot of work in South America. My work is in Latin America and South America. So I watched how US culture in a very imperialistic way imposed itself on Latin America, like Coca-Cola and Pepsi, everything. So that's how I first got interested in Korean culture and K-pop. So what happened was, hang on, I'm going to come back here. So what happened with K-pop is that maybe 4 years ago, I was listening. I mean, I've been listening to K-pop because I listen to music from all over the world. I'm just constantly wanting to listen to, I'll pick a radio station out from somewhere in the middle of Europe or Africa or somewhere, and I just listen to it. And so, but what I heard, I woke up to this idea that BTS broke the record for Taylor Swift for downloads in a 24-hour period. And I said, wow, BTS. I had heard of BTS, I knew of them and I had heard their music, but I knew that nobody else here knew about BTS. And so I had class that day and I just walked into my class and I said, hey, how many of you know about BTS? And like, no, but 5 people raised their hands. And I said, you have 800 people, 5 people raised their hands. I said, oh my God, this is amazing. And then I explained what happened, how they just broke the record for Taylor Swift.
Wow.
And I said, this is the kind of, the English word that we use as provincialism, right? It's like really, like many, provincialism is probably pretty common in Korea, but the people didn't step out, you know, Americans very often, because we're so big, have this idea that the world revolves around us and like our culture and, you know, Beyonce and not everybody. And I'm like, man, come on, this is BTS, y'all. Like they're gonna be running the show, you know. And people were really shocked. They were really surprised. And so that's when I really jumped into BTS right there at that moment. Although I had heard them before, you know, and I like the music. I mean, I like all music. So.
Oh, wow. You really are a cosmopolitan. Like I even don't listen to like all the music from all over the world, you know.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I'm really impressed.
No, I do. Yesterday I was listening to Turkish music from the 16th century, you know, telling my wife, like, listen to this. This is music that was written for Allah. This was the most priceless music at the time that it was written, you know. And yeah.
So what did your wife say about that?
She thought it was very nice. Yeah. But she thought it was nice. Yeah.
She thought it was nice. Okay.
Yeah. But I thought it was amazing. You know?
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. I'm really impressed. Like just to hear like how you got into this Hallyu like stuff and how you convey the lecture, you know, like you were really trying to like enlighten American students, like, oh, there's a whole different, like whole bigger world out there, you know, like you were really eager to convey the message to them, you know. So I was kind of impressed because here South Korea is like kind of small country compared to your country. So we were like always open to other countries. So we really care about what other countries think or, you know, like what other people think, because we have to adapt because that's the only way for us to survive. You know, like, so we were always like really careful about what is happening like outside the world.
Yeah.
But you know, like you were really conveying and like delivering this lecture, like a message to American students who seemed like don't care. You know?
Who could never find Korea on a map. You know? But you know, for you, for Korea, between Japan and China, I mean, you know, you are in between these giants, right? And economically, Japan economically and militarily, right? And then now China, it's just, you could be swallowed up by China very quickly. But won't be probably. Yeah. And then India, of course, right? I mean, it's just so much, but yeah.
Yeah, right. So how do we feel about like surrounded by the strong countries?
Yeah, well, you right. I think you said, right, you have to be really aware of the world around you. And we have Canada and we have Mexico, and that's it. Otherwise, we're cut off. And we don't care about Canadians because they're all really nice and they just drink beer and play hockey. So they're not a threat to us. And,
oh my God.
and Mexicans are, because they make really awesome food. And so they distract us, you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is very stressful. And we Koreans say it's really tragedy / opportunity for us to be located like between China and Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So, and historically, like Japan and South Korea, well, entire Korean peninsula has this very, very painful history because, yeah, right, because of colonization. Like, is that right? Yeah. So it was really tragic, and still like the relationship between two countries isn't that good. And we are very competitive to, especially Japanese people and Japanese country, you know. So,
which I think is why the Korean economy, you've been able to do what you did. You know, starting in the 1960s and 70s. Yeah, it's a direct competition with Japan.
Right, right.
Yeah, which is pretty amazing. Hey, what do you call, you know, the giant conglomerates companies in Korea, like Hyundai and so on? What is the Korean word for that?
It's 재벌.
Tape, yeah.
Yeah, it's like JAE.
Yeah.
J and BULL, like 재벌.
Chaebol. Yeah, Chaebol.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard because we don't spell it that way but Chaebol. Yeah. But you know, but this is similar. It's organized in a very similar way as the Chaebol. The Japanese don't call them Chaebols, but it's very similar in a way.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, I was working in Samsung before I went to graduate school. So yeah, like
and how was that?
It was very intense, intense and competitive. Yeah. Like getting into the company was very, very tough and competitive. And after getting into that company, like was still competitive and intense.
What did you do for them?
I did overseas marketing for Samsung Electronics, and I did some planning after that.
Well, awesome. Well, evidently you did a good job, because look at the Galaxy today. Look at Samsung. They're electronics.
That's not my work, though.
Oh, all right. Well, well, somebody did.
Somebody did.
Hey, and then what did you study in graduate school?
Graduate school, I studied communications.
Yeah, very cool. Hey, so let me ask you. So when you say as a YouTuber, what does that mean for you as somebody in Korea? What does that?
Well, like as a Korean or as like individual?
Yeah. Okay, as an individual for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, individual. Well, my dream was to be on the TV when I was in graduate school, like undergraduate school. Like I applied for several broadcasting companies to be a TV host or a like TV reporter, but I failed. And I went to Samsung. So I was always looking for this channel and medium to convey my voice. And I believe that I had something to like at least deliver this kind of good infos, or, you know, like some good things happening in the world, or even like enlighten or open their world, you know. So like Koreans have this language barrier, like usually because we speak Korean, not English. So we were so like contained in this Korean language like environment. So we are stuck in there as well. So I was kind of really felt sorry, like, you know, there's a whole bigger world out there, like you did to your students. You know, if you can speak English, or if you're open to, you know, like newses or like mediums like all over the world, then your word can be like a lot bigger. So I really wanted to speak that. So this is kind of my like dream. So it's very meaningful, you know, and it's like slowly growing. And, you know, like I have this special like stunning guest right now. So I feel really blessed. So it's very meaningful to me, individual, as an individual, and as a global citizen. Like this is an opportunity.
Yeah.
So I got this chance to talk with you. And maybe I can talk with my professors from my undergraduate school or graduate school about like what they think about how things are going nowadays. So I can be just medium. So it's really, really great. And actually I have this English channel as well, and I did some pop reactions there, like K-pop and Bollywood songs and something like that. And it got burst like a month ago, so it has 2,000 subscribers now.
Great.
So that's like English language channel. So like this is a I don't know, like this is a tool for me to communicate with people like from different world and people from outside world, and like educate myself as well. So it's really great.
Oh, that's cool. That's really nice. And so have you streamed at all, or do you make videos and put them up?
I never streamed at all. So I was really, really like nervous when you suggested, oh, okay, what about streaming? So, oh my God, this is so freaking hard.
Yeah. Okay. So listen, next time we talk, we'll actually stream. I'll get your streaming key and I'll put it in, and then we can stream on your channel. And I was going to do that earlier, but I was having problems with with the stream right now. It's going, it appears as though it's going really well. It's nothing is lagging or anything. And so I was nervous about streaming to your channel and then having it look really bad. That would be bad for you. So, but next time we'll make sure that we talk again, and we'll stream directly to your channel, and then you can, it's not, I'm not going to say it's not difficult, because it's challenging, but if you know somebody to help, it's also really nice. But at the same time, it's really fine to put, just put videos up. So so for your English channel, is this mostly for Koreans who are wanting to speak English and learn English, but other people can join?
No, it's for foreign people. Like 95% of watchers are from like other countries.
Ah, okay.
Who are interested in Korea and are interested in like Bollywood reaction or something.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, awesome. No, it's so nice. It's so key. And so for you, as someone also who is teaching English, it's really a nice way for you to bring all of the pieces of you together.
Right.
And do you teach English full time?
Yeah, full time, but this is my own business, so I can like adjust my time.
Yeah.
So it's really great thing. Yeah. Like unless then I cannot do any other things like YouTube or studying or wherever. I couldn't do it. But this is my own business, so I can like adjust my schedule all the time. So it's really great.
And who are your students?
From elementary school students to like adults, like in 60s.
So for elementary school students, so like after school, they go for tutoring. They go then to like your work with you. Right. Yeah. Right. This is the thing, Korean students, like we don't do this in the US. You go to school from 8 to 4 every day, and then you go for more tutoring. And we don't do that here. Not everyone. No, we go from 8 to 2 every day, and then we leave school and we go and I don't know what some people do. Yeah, we play. We go smoke marijuana. I don't know. That's right. Yeah. How do you think that's how we got Donald Trump as a president?
Oh my God. I wasn't supposed to laugh this louder, but I loved your joke. So
No, I think that really No, but I think this is one thing that Americans don't really understand about Korea. When I say that, you know, you take education seriously, sometimes in a way too seriously. I also said this in the interview that I did for Arirang. But there's a way in which it's too much. You know, you lose some of the creativity and the possibility and so on, because people are just like really, you know, trying to force into people's minds certain ways of thinking, and that doesn't always work. But so many people go to school all day and then they do tutoring in the evening, right? So this would be like your work, right?
Right.
And the adults who you work with who are wanting to learn English, what is their reason for wanting to learn English?
Oh, there are various reasons. Like some of them really want to go to travel and speaking English like fluently, like with the locals. And some people want to do like presentation like in their company, like Steve Jobs. And some people want to just communicate with other people like from other countries. And some people want to make some friends. So it's very, very different. And actually like some of my elementary school students want to be a YouTuber like me. So it's really different, yeah.
And the idea of being a YouTuber is just to put yourself out in the world. Do you feel nervous about that? Do you feel...
I feel really nervous about it.
Yeah. What's most nerve-wracking?
Well, it's kind of out of track thingy because like you said, we Koreans are too focused on education. And there's like certain way, like society is changing, so it's really different from the past though, but still like there's certain way which is considered to be a successful way. So, you know, if you like become a doctor or a lawyer, you know, then you're considered to be successful here, you know, or go to a big company like Samsung, you know, it's
and
like
be an
successful.
Engineer or something.
So I was like on this right track. Like I studied really hard and I went to a good school and I went to Samsung, you know, like I was like this very behaving girl, like all the time. But like suddenly, like after I reached out like 30 something, and then I just like, you know, told my mom like, oh, I'm gonna be a YouTuber. And she was so shocked. And she was so like disappointed. It's very nerve-wracking. Like this is not my past, like this was not my past before, but I'm just challenging myself to do this new thing like all the time. Like, and I've never done like this before. So like, this is really nerve-wracking. And I just have no idea what other people think like this, you know, like me. So yeah, it's like very nerve-wracking.
So you left your job at Samsung.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty big.
Yeah, that is pretty big. And I went to graduate school. And then I started like thinking, okay, what am I going to do with my life? You know, so.
Yeah. Wow. Listen, you know, you need to, that's pretty cool. I applaud you.
Oh my God, thank you.
Thank
you very much.
You should read MK's new book. Have you seen it?
I already read it.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. All right.
I already read it. Yeah.
Because she's really speaking to, you know, people like you.
Right.
Did it help you? Did it help to?
Yeah, it helped. Like I said, you know, she is probably about my mom's age, I guess. But she's still active, like I guess more active than me, you know. So, like she's so like socially active, and she is like doing like so many things at the same time. And I'm kind of wondering like how can she do all those things, you know? Like she's very energetic and very inspiring, you know. So one of the reasons why I emailed you was after I watched MK's video with you. So I was thinking like, okay, so you heard this MK's opinion, you know, but she is like more professional and more like sophisticated and like more older than me. And I'm like beginner, but I'm in 30s and I'm kind of like younger than her. So maybe you can like listen to other voices like of South Korea. So I was thinking like, okay, maybe I can like give something to you as well. So that's after I watched MK's video.
Oh,
so.
that's cool. Oh my God. That's really, that is really nice to hear, because, you know, for me, and when you get to, for me, it's always, I don't know, when people reach out to me and they have something to offer, you know, they hear something that I say and it inspires them to think about something in some way, and then they have something to offer, and then they reach out to me. I always feel really, really, really good about that. And yeah, because that's what I want, right? I want people, it feels like sometimes people think that when somebody like me or somebody like MK or that I have all the answers, or that I should have the answers. And like, I only get new ideas by talking to people like you, you know? So this is one of the reasons I stay really active with my students. And I'm always talking to people from all over the world, because that's where I learn.
Yeah, but it's really impressive as well, because like for like your status and like you are a professor. So like when you get like that much career, you know, and when you get that much experience, like you suddenly like stop learning. Like you think like, okay, I'm enough, you know, like that's very usual thing. But you're like still learning, and you're like very open-minded still, like, so it's really, really impressive, and it's very inspiring to young people, you know, like
well,
me.
that's good to hear. That's good to hear. Yeah, because I feel like that. I feel like, you know, the reason I teach, the reason I do what I do is because I'm teaching myself. I go out and I say, okay, what do I want to learn about? And then I see something maybe in the news that I don't understand. And then maybe I will, as a result of that, maybe then what I'll say is, oh, let me go learn something about that. And then I go talk to someone from a particular background or that culture or something in that way. And then I learn. And then I go into my classroom and I explain what it is that I've learned. And then they say, oh, okay, here we go. Now, and then they get something from me. But really, the only thing I've done is teach myself. And so by teaching, it just inspires me to keep learning. And I never do the same class twice. I never do the same class twice. So so there are things that I use from different classes, right? But it's always different. I'm always doing something unique, something new. That means twice a week I put 2 new presentations together. And a lot of times what people do is they have a class that they teach, and then they do the same lectures, and then the next semester they do the same lectures, and they pull out the same notes, and they say the same things, and I never do that. And so and then the students in the class change things, because I bring them up into the front of the room and I talk to them, and then they change the way the class goes. And so that keeps me young, you know, keeps my mind really fluid in a way. So like, for example, here's something, I'll say this, and then I'll let you go, and then I will go, but we will do this again for sure. So, but next time we will stream it to your channel. Okay. So one of the things that I just read today, like I know about soju. So there's another example, right? I've known about soju. I had soju 30 years ago. I drank soju for the first time, you know.
In the States or?
In the States, yeah.
In the States, okay.
But and then I read that the first and the third most popular spirit, like liquors in the world, were brands of soju. And I thought, oh my God, like Koreans drink a lot of soju. Well, it's not just Koreans, Chinese and so on. But I did read that Koreans do drink more shots of liquor by far per capita than any other country in the world.
This is kind of embarrassing.
Well, yeah. So I think then what I have not explored in Korea then is alcoholism, right? So there must. Yeah. Well, hang on one second.
Okay.
Hang on one second.
Okay, take your time.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the live stream. It looks like it may have crashed, but I don't know. Huh. Okay. Well, in the event, it may or may not have crashed. That I don't know. But let me ask you that. Maybe, hang on. Hold on. Well, we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll save that for the next conversation. This would be really good.
Okay.
Because I'm really curious about that.
Like Korea's alcoholism.
Yeah, Korea's alcoholism. Yeah.
Okay. I'm really curious, like, about how actual American or American students think about Korean people as well, because like they just didn't know anything about Korea before, but maybe like they got exposed to this BTS news and like your lecture, like did they change? Like how do American like students think of Korea now? Like is there any change into their
I think when I talk about, every time I talk about Korea, American students are really interested. They're more interested.
Okay.
But mostly my students are, but mostly Americans don't think much about Korea other than, and most Americans don't even know that Samsung is a Korean company. They probably think it's a Chinese company. Hyundai is a Chinese car. Kia is a Chinese car. They think these are LG. They just assume Chinese. You know, for Chinese, China, Japan, Korea, it's all the same, you know, for many Americans. Yeah.
It's just Asia.
Yeah, it's Asia, but Asia is now increasingly is China, right? And so, yeah, we've lost our way in that sense. But that's kind of a, you know, it's not very kind, but you know, we're not very global in our way of seeing the world. Yeah, so I would say that. Hey, listen, so now I'm going to do a couple things. So this has been Jiu, this has been awesome talking to you. I feel, it's just really nice. It touches my heart, and thank you for reaching out.
Thank you. It touches my heart too. It's a very honorable thing for me to do this interview with you.
Yeah, well, thank you. I really appreciate that. It feels, I mean, you know, for me, you can imagine that, you know, for me, I don't know anybody who I'm a teacher, right? So when anybody takes my ideas seriously and listens to me, I feel very good about it. So, yeah. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop the recording, and then I would just want to test out a couple of things here before we get off.
Okay.
So